Hey, this is JD.
And Eli.
Introducing the GamePitch podcast.
A brand new podcast launching on the Project Nerd Network. JD, you want to tell everyone what we're all about?
Well, for starters, we're about games.
Yeah.
And pitches.
Yeah.
And game pitches?
This all makes sense.
Every Monday, we're going to cover the week's biggest gaming news. We're going to hand out some industry red cards and pitch a brand new game idea.
For our first few weeks, we'll drop new episodes Monday and Thursday to give you a larger sample of the series. I'm Eli.
And I'm JD.
Let's get to the show.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the GamePitch podcast. I am one of your hosts, JD, here with my co-host, Eli. Eli, you want to say hi?
Well, hello listeners, and hello to you, Jay to the Dig Dug. I'm ready to trudge up some gaming news with you on everyone's favorite loosely sports-framed game pod.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. We have a ton to talk about this week. Like I say that every week, but this week we have a lot. We're going to talk a little bit about gaming Mount Rushmore, and I think that'll be a fun discussion. Nintendo dropped a mini direct, which was, mini, but it was still half an hour, so I feel like it was pretty good mini. And it's your turn to pitch a game.
I will be doing that. I'm excited to do it.
And I'm excited to hear it.
We usually start the show by talking about what we're playing, jumping into Animal Crossing. We've both been doing that a lot, but in my quarantine isolation, I have been playing all of Halo again. So you can expect on Project Nerd. I already submitted my reviews for Halo 1 and 2. I played Reach. I played ODST. I've played every Halo game this week.
My goodness. That's a lot of Halo. That's awesome. That's going to be super fun to read. I, on the other hand, have not been quarantined. I'm in the quote-unquote essential, maybe they mean expendable category. So I have had no time to play anything but Animal Crossing. So I've just been playing a ton of that. I get home from work beat, I sit down, I pick up my Switch, and I play for a couple hours, and then I pass out. So that's been my life.
that sounds right. Passing out, being in debt to Nook. I like that. Just a quick little snooze, just dreaming of how you can make more bells.
I like it probably better than real life right now.
It's not a bad way to approach life, just to escape to your Animal Crossing island. I did recently change my tune. You go to the city or the, I don't even know, resident services, and you can change your island tune, and people like sing it as they're walking around. Changed mine to the Crystal Gems theme from Steven Universe.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so my Animal Crossing guys are just like, meep. Meep, 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 no. And I'm just like, yes, we will always save the day. We are the Crystal Gems.
That is phenomenal. I absolutely love that. I haven't changed my theme yet. I just got my new resident services building this morning, so I haven't even got to really dig into it yet, but I'm excited to do so. Speaking of excited to dig in, you ready to toss some fastballs back and forth?
I'm going to trudge up with my Dig Dug shovel.
Let's go.
Trudging up the news. So first story of the week, Twin Breaker is out. This is a brick breaker game that has a story. It's from one of my favorite podcasters, Colin Moriarty. We talked about this before. He does a podcast for PlayStation called Sacred Symbols, but the game's actually out. I've played it. It's really cool. It does some things that I don't think brick breakers have done in the past. There's some really confusing things, some Pong style levels, some levels where you're controlling 4 paddles, or there's hologram paddles, and it's actually really cool. And I think I'm on level 28 or 29 or something like that. So I'm pretty far into it, but it has a story too, and it's really fun. So I just wanted people to know, if you're looking for a game to play, $10, check it out.
That sounds pretty cool. I'll have to look into that. Moving on, our next story. We've seen some cool press photos of Minecraft on the Series X, the Xbox Series X, and it looks amazing.
Now, my thing with this, JD, this is almost like a red card that I want to throw out. Because like when someone's just like, hey, look at Minecraft on the new next-gen console. Like when Microsoft's like, hey guys, look at how good Minecraft looks on our system. I'm like, my phone, Minecraft looks good. Shut up, Microsoft. Go away.
At a certain point, do you think they're just taking like IRL photos and sharing them because no one can really refute them yet? So they're just like walking around their campus in Washington taking photos like, look at what someone made on the Series X Minecraft. And we're all just like, I think that's real life, but like, I can't say that you're wrong. I don't know yet.
Hey, look at how good Super Mario Brothers looks on the Switch. Yeah, it's a 60, it's a
game. Exactly. Exactly. Like, wow, this classic game has more than 8-bit color. Thank you. Yes, that's literally all it would have taken. So well done.
Another well done goes to everyone who's been playing Animal Crossing these last few weeks. There have been just so many things. I know you personally, you're really passionate about the swap meets. Can you tell me a little bit about these?
Oh, I love these. So I have them all over my Twitter feed. So the basic premise is people will get gifts, right? And some people will choose to leave what the item is just kind of out in the open. Some people will wrap them, so it's sort of like a mystery swap. And so they'll open their island up and people can come, and the idea is you leave a gift and then you take a gift. people have items that they've crafted that they maybe have extras of, or like things that they're shaking out of trees or getting out of balloons that they don't, want or need. They're giving it a new life, basically. And it's all through mystery, right? But it's such a cool way to like invite people onto your island and like to share these items where it feels a lot less just like, hey, I have this, give me this. Oh, okay, right? It's all mystery. Like you'll go and maybe you'll get like I have this pink guitar amp that I have absolutely no need for, but like it's really cool, There's just so much furniture in Animal Crossing that people see photos of and they're like, oh my God, I have to have that. And so it just ups that ante of like, will you get it this time? Will it take another time? Who knows? It's just a super fun thing.
It's a great way that the community is embracing it. And those swap meets, I've been seeing them on my Twitter feed as well. And it's just really nice that the community is like really open and accepting of each other. There's a lot of nice, friendly, cute things happening in Animal Crossing right now. But what's not friendly or nice or amazing is PETA. And they always like to weigh in at the wrong times, and they just had some bad takes on Animal Crossing just in general. And I know you got to like ride the social media wave. I get that. I understand. I've marketed. I know, but just PETA, just chill out on the Animal Crossing. Just let us have our fun, guys.
Yeah, so it was for Tarantula Island, right?
There was a few of them. There was like multiple articles on PETA's website about Animal Crossing and like how like Tom Nook is lying to you. Like they're just like every article headline was like, click this and it's bad. I'm all the way out on PETA.
That's amazing.
I love the animals too. I give them sweaters. I probably love animals more than you, PETA, because I go to my island. I'm like, hey, you want this coconut? And then my person's like, here, take this money. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I always feel bad when I'm like just trying to be nice and I'll like send someone a gift in the mail or like give them something and they're like, surprise gift exchange. And then they give me something like 80 times better. I'm like, hey, I picked this apple up off the floor. Here, have this. They're like, oh, okay, here you go. Here's a like gold nugget. And I'm like, what? Like, this was not a fair trade.
I can only get a rugby sweater from Biff so many times before I'm out.
That's amazing.
I've got like 6 of them. It's ridiculous.
I think the last little Animal Crossing fastball is the Bandai Twitter account accidentally, I assume their social media person meant to be tweeting from their personal account and was tweeting from the company account, right? Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's exactly. We have to assume that that's what happened. It's just really funny, and man, that person's got to be fired, right? They just have to be fired. Is that what it is?
Or
it's
written fired a lot? I don't know. Like, and thankfully it wasn't like it was super like profane. There was nothing explicit in the tweet. It was just someone complaining about Nintendo's policy to have one island per Switch. So regardless of what account you may be playing on that Switch, it's the same shared island. And so this person just kind of tweeted out some frustration about it and then very, very quickly deleted it. But as everyone knows, the internet never forgets. And so now that screenshot is circulating around. So yeah, maybe fired, maybe just reprimanded.
Way to make this an unpleasant experience, quote unquote, man.
Yeah. Not great.
From a primary partner like that who has helped create Smash Bros. Like, it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
It's no good.
Something that is very good is God of War might be coming to PC. And this all circulates from the official like God of War page, it removing the only on PlayStation logo that used to be on that page. So this is all speculation, of course, because it's just a change to the page. But why would they change that on the page if it wasn't coming elsewhere, especially given light of what happened with Horizon Zero Dawn recently?
Yeah, we talked about this before where, at a certain point, it makes sense for Sony to have these as exclusives for the console for as long as it's relevant in a financial situation. And then I think as soon as it starts to scale down, why wouldn't they move to PC, which I don't know if they, necessarily see it as competition in the same way that they would see Xbox or that they would see maybe Nintendo. And I love it. Like, I agree. There's no point in removing that exclusivity badge on the website. And so if it is indeed going to PC, I think a lot of people are going to love that.
No, definitely. They're going to be really excited. And why not, like we've talked about this, why not have more people able to play the game that is awesome, that everyone loves? So just let it happen. I'm into it. I don't know if you know Dr. Disrespect. I'm not a fan of his in any way, shape, or form. I'm just out on the guy just in general. And I almost removed this from our little fastball here because I was just like, I don't want to give this guy a platform or any other spotlight. But just because he came at you specifically, he called Call of Duty Warzone a phony arcade game made for 2-year-olds. So, JD.
I can't deny the facts when they're just so plainly there. And from someone with such authority as Dr. Disrespect, he He's so intelligent, and he's just so worldly. You can't be super smart and then go filming in a public bathroom, at a conference and get banned from Twitch. I mean, only people who know it all would do something like that, right?
Only
No,
2-year-olds would do that with pristine mustaches.
I don't care about his opinion much. The game is doing very well. Like I said last week, it's fun. I'm not hankering to play it every moment of the day, but like, if I really did want to fire up a battle royale right now, that would probably be the one I'd pick. So yeah, I mean, I don't care what he has to say, and
Okay.
I have a feeling most Call of Duty people don't either.
Yeah, I think it is a shtick. I think it's all like Stephen Colbert on Colbert Report. I think it is an act, and he's drumming up a persona.
Sure.
I don't think, but still, this is just one of those headline things where I'm just like, man, come on, guy, for real.
I agree. It's like, dude, just enough.
Something I've had enough of is Angry Birds, just in general, all the way.
I'm sorry. There's movies, and now there's reportedly an animated show being worked on with Netflix. The game was fun that summer it came out, and we were all playing Angry Birds. It was fun, and it was good. It had some legs for a little while, right?
Yeah, I'd say probably Angry Birds 2 is the peak, because it like hit the puzzling. It was when iOS games were popping off, and then we had like cut the rope.
When like the touchscreen was a novelty and not like a norm, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it was just fun. There was the one with the alligator with the water that Disney made.
Yeah.
So like it was of a time, and I do think it'll have its place in gaming history. But I'm past Angry Birds.
Yeah, I am too. People who enjoy it, great, but I don't care. And of all the things for Netflix to throw a lot of money at, I don't get it. I really don't.
Yeah, it's
weird. Think their exclusives are so good that they have procured and made. There's so many amazing Netflix series. And this, I don't think, will be one of them. Just like Love is Blind, it's going to be really bad.
Oh, Ozark, House of Cards,
Narcos,
Angry Birds.
And I'm like, wait.
But why? What?
All I can say is thank God that they turned off the autoplay feature for the previews, because I would delete my Netflix account if I was trying to find something to watch and I had to scroll past an Angry Birds promo that tried to play every other title.
Netflix just throws their money at everything, and gamers have loudly thrown their money at Doom. Doom Eternal is selling bigger and badder and bolder than any game in the Doom franchise history, and it's pretty great just to see that gamers are embracing it. And we've talked just like Animal Crossing did really well because of our current world status. I think Doom's doing really well because of that too. It's cool to see something like Doom being embraced by everyone. I've seen a ton of videos, ton of Twitch stuff. My roommate's currently playing through the 2016 Doom. I think cool. In preparation to maybe play Eternal, but Doom's great. It's always been a part of my gaming life, and hearing the nice. that just makes me hype. I'm just like, yeah, let's go.
It's a great title. This new one seems like it is amazing. I haven't got to dive in yet, but everything I've read online is super, super positive. We talked about it on the pod before. I love the kind of cross marketing they were doing with Animal Crossing leading up to it, and I think that probably served them pretty well because people were just hyped. So yeah, I mean, I'm super happy for them. Like you said, it was part of my childhood growing up too. Like, it is just rooted in anyone that grew up playing a shooter, and it's just an amazing franchise. So kudos to those guys.
We're telling everyone to play Doom Eternal. It has boomsticks. Apparently, boomsticks are coming to Mortal Kombat.
Okay, tell me about it.
Yeah, so there's rumors right now, and this is kind of something that's seemingly been confirmed by the studio, that apparently Ash Williams from Evil Dead is going to be coming as DLC to Mortal Kombat. So this is a really, I wouldn't say weird move for them, because they have like Joker in there now, they have Spawn in there now, just getting people that could combat mortally. They're just like, hey, is this guy believable to rip people's faces off? Cool, do it. And I guess go for it, Mortal Kombat team. Sure, why not?
Yeah, they're like, is this guy believable to do this? And then they're like, oh wait, they're video game characters. We can say they are. And then they just throw them in.
Ash Williams is not a video game character, but if they want to make B-movie Smash Bros, fine. Sure. There's a space for it.
Why not?
Buy it. Yeah,
exactly. That's it. That's all there is to it. There is an audience out there for it somewhere in the galaxy. Someone will want that.
Somewhere else in the galaxy is sadness for me and you, where we're sleeping and crying and just dying on the inside. So we got teased recently on Twitter with some concept art of Boba Fett in 1313. This is a canceled Star Wars game by LucasArts. And what sucks about this is that George Lucas, after they went through iteration and iteration of the game that was being led by Amy from freaking Naughty Dog. So we were going to get a game starring Boba Fett made by the Uncharted lady. Like,
Yeah, come
my
on.
brain hurts. It hurts.
Yeah, so 1313, for those who don't remember, it was into the deep levels of Coruscant, right? Because the whole idea of the lore of the planet is that there's all these levels. And so as you got into these really deep levels, it was like the seedy, like super shady, dark part of the planet where it's just all the illegal stuff happening.
The underbelly.
The underbelly of the planet, right? And so then you mix that with Uncharted mechanics and puzzling and action platforming with Boba Fett bounty hunting missions in Star Wars. And yeah, like Eli said, I think we both found out about this and we both took a sad nap. Man, gosh, why would they tease us again?
No, man, it's so sad because if George is like, hey guys, this is the time, make Boba Fett the protagonist.
Oh,
It's a rough ride. It's
so sad.
It's hard out here for a bounty hunter.
It really is.
I'm gonna modify my life to pull that out of my knowledge and just get away from it.
I had forgotten about it. I had done a good job of just wiping my brain, Eternal Sunshine style of that memory. And then it's like, oh, what's this cute piece of art on Twitter? No. And then they all just came flooding back, ruining me again. So
Twitter's my nemesis. Yeah, that's just it.
They're my nemesis. Speaking of, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at GamePitchPod. So moving on, we're talking about Resident Evil, right?
There's a mod that lets you swap out Nemesis for Thomas the Tank Engine. It is hilarious, and his like toot toot as he's about to charge at you is it's like hilarious, but also what my nightmares are made of. So
yeah, it's pure
mod.
It's pure terror. I love this. I love the modding community and what they do, and I've seen so many things that Thomas the Tank Engine just they've dropped him into these worlds where he obviously doesn't belong.
Oblivion.
Oh, the Oblivion one's one of my favorites. But then at the same time, like you start to see it and you're like, this isn't the worst thing in the world, is it?
You're like, Thomas the Tank Engine does belong in Bloodborne, of course.
Of course he does. Modders, thank you for your contributions to our podcast and to the world in general.
Yeah, modders are essentially hackers, and there's a hacker out there who has allegedly stolen the graphics source code for the Xbox Series X, and he is holding it ransom for $1 million. I saw this story, JD, and I'm just like, yes, $1 million.
$100 million. And
Mr. Bigglesworth.
And then like Bill Gates comes out and he's like, actually, that's not that much money these days.
Yeah. But this is a weird thing to happen. How could this person get the source code? They were throwing up like portions of it as proof on GitHub, which is even crazier. That they would just be like, here it is. And I guess Xbox isn't too worried about it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I feel like we would have heard quite a bit more by now if this was like a super severe situation. And really the only part of the story that we've been hearing is someone has it and they've shared snippets of it, but no like response from Microsoft, no call to action to like try to hunt this dude down. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like a big deal, like you said.
Something that I've talked about on earlier weeks in the show is me playing through Control. I love that game. The story DLC, The Foundation, is out, and there is one more promised large chapter coming to Control later this year. So just want to let everyone know. Control, play it. It's amazing. There's a new story DLC that everyone's really liking right now.
Yeah, and I know you love good content being added on post-launch, just like I do. And I know you love Control. This is a match made in heaven for you, isn't it?
It is. A match made in heaven for Netflix in their pockets. We talked about them earlier, but apparently Ryan Reynolds wants to star in a Netflix Dragon Slayer show. So if you don't know Dragon Slayer, it's that arcade kind of action-adventure style game. It was in...
Dragon's Lair, right?
Yeah, Dragon Slayer, yeah. Yeah, and it was in the beginning of Stranger Things, so that's even more Netflix synergy there. And Ryan Reynolds wants to star in a Dragon Slayer film.
We said earlier, Netflix, what are you thinking with Angry Birds? And now I'm saying, Netflix, please greenlight this project immediately.
Are you? Okay, this is cool.
I think Ryan Reynolds is excellent. I think he's hilarious. And I also think that when he has a character or like an IP that he's really passionate about, it shows. So like look at Deadpool, right? Like there could never, ever, ever be a better Deadpool in my opinion. And you can tell that he also really loves that character. And so if he's coming then to Netflix and saying like, I like Dragon's Lair and I want to help make it and be in it, like he probably has some passion around the project, right? And so that to me is exciting. the source IP, cool, Dragon's Lair, neat, right? Okay. But I'm more excited to see what the adaptation would look like. So I think it sounds cool.
I don't know if I can really wrap my head around it because it's something that's more animated and something that's like trial and error. So I don't know if they're going to go literal with it and do trial and error in a movie, in that same choose your own adventure ending kind of book style, the Goosebump books. I don't know if that's going to be something they're going to approach, but I can't judge it until I see it. But I would have never said, man, Dragon's Lair, that's the game that needs a movie. I would not have picked that specifically.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have either. And I think that also kind of lends some curiosity to it in general, right? Like there's a lot of really obvious choices, and I think this is not one of them. And so that makes me really intrigued to see what direction it could go.
Yeah, if Ryan has the passion for it, we should trust him. I agree with you. You're right. Thank you for making me realize that, friend.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we do here for each other. We talk about the good and we talk about the bad. So let's wrap this up with a good and a bad. Let's start with the bad so we end on a good note. You guys remember last week we gave GameStop a red card because they're terrible and they were trying to skirt the essential retail rules by claiming that the one webcam that they said they have in stock in their back stock room made them essential. And so to add on to that, there's been reports now that customers are supposed to, or not customers, employees, right, are supposed to wrap plastic bags around their hands while they're working because GameStop is not providing them with gloves.
Man, we talked about Dr. Evil before, but damn, guys.
This is actually the worst.
Dr. Evil would at least give the minions some damn gloves. Like, Gru outfits his people with goggles and overalls and a yellow shirt.
Right.
Come on, GameStop.
He is in OSHA compliance and he's fictional. And then meanwhile, here we are. And not only that, but like the way that they're interacting with customers is just super weird, where they're like opening the door barely enough for like if a customer's doing a trade-in, where they kind of slip it in like it's a black market drug deal. They're like slipping this game in through this crack in the door. The GameStop employee with their hands wrapped in bags is grabbing this, going back to the register, flipping the bag like inside out, tying it.
Wait, is this a pitch for Star Wars 1313? I'm so glad they canceled this game.
And the GameStop employee's Boba Fett, and then everyone clapped.
It's ridiculous. It's so stupid.
It's so stupid.
Weird insider story. I worked at GameStop for 2 years, and the plastic bags there smelled like chocolate when I worked there. And like one day I thought I was actually like losing my mind because I kept smelling chocolate and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And it was definitely the GameStop bags.
That's so weird. Do you think they share like a manufacturing facility with like someone that's making like wrappers for chocolate or something?
They must have. That order must have. I don't know if they still smell like chocolate, but I know when I worked there that they did, and it drove me insane.
Now they just smell like just absolute shame and tears
and villainy. Yep,
villainy, pure evil.
Let's get to some good in the world.
End on a good fastball. Hit me.
So CD Projekt Red, they are the people that make The Witcher, and of course they're making the upcoming Cyberpunk. They are donating out there. They're fighting, and they're doing some good in Poland.
Yeah, so in Poland, where their headquarters is based, they are donating the equivalent of the currency there in $1 million to fight the spread of coronavirus, which is absolutely incredible, right? Like, it's so good to see. I think we've seen a lot of companies stepping up and trying to do their parts, and even like people I didn't expect, like banks are saying, hey, we're gonna delay your mortgage, right? Like my bank emailed me to say that we don't have to make car payments on my wife's car for the next 3 months. They're just gonna pause the loan.
My Apple Card was like, hey man, you want to not make your March payment? And I was like, dang, I already did, but thanks for letting me know, fam.
They did that on purpose. But anyway, it's amazing to see like all these companies step up, and I didn't think that would skip the game industry, and it's really cool to have a story like this. I think CD Projekt Red already is in so many gamers' good graces for not only creating amazing worlds and games, but also backing them up for free, right? Like you think about Witcher 3 and just how much raw content that they put out for that game for free, right? Like you didn't have to pay for it. It was just like a lot of stuff that you could just go and get. And I think they're, taking a similar approach with Cyberpunk. And so everyone already kind of loves them. And now they're also like, hey, by the way, we have all this money that we want to try to help our local community here. And kudos. Good feel good story to end on. So
thank you, CD Projekt Red. We give you the Game Pitch honor medallion of valor and freedom.
And gratitude.
Yep, that's what it is. Honor, valor, freedom, gratitude.
Yeah, we got to make a better name for that too. We're going to rework this. We're going to take this back in the workshop, and we're going to make this better. But CD Projekt Red, congratulations on being the first one.
You sure got it, guys. So now we're going to move from the fastballs into our scouting report. Some stories we're going to talk a little bit more about, dig a little deeper into. And the first one I want to throw your way is Half-Life Alyx. It came out, and huge fan of Half-Life. How do you feel about Half-Life?
I like Half-Life. It's a great, it's a great series, and I think myself and everyone included is still waiting for 3, but that's futile. Anyway, go on.
So it got a 10 from IGN. They don't just hand those out like candy. And I'm from a generation that believes when IGN gives a 10 to something, it means something. So that's still important to me.
Yeah.
So 1, it's a prequel. If you don't know the character Alyx, she is in Half-Life 2. She's in the episodes as well. Alyx is a pretty awesome, stellar character. This is a VR game, though.
Correct.
Everything I've seen in the gameplay looks awesome. They have the gravity gloves, the way the puzzles are working. I saw this thing where like a head crab jumps at you and you like grab it off your face and you throw it out a window. I was like, this is just me watching a little bit of gameplay because I don't want to ruin too much for myself, but this does feel to me what Halo did for FPSs on consoles to Steam and Valve doing the same thing for
VR.
Yeah, it really looks transformative.
I think there needed to be something that profoundly jumped VR to the next step. And that's not to say that there wasn't already a lot of cool VR stuff out there. And those projects are still important to the foundation, and selling that early VR tech was critical for Valve to get to this point. But I think you're exactly right. Your analogy of Halo to FPS is exactly what I think this game will do to VR. One caveat there, and that's that VR is still not super cheap, right? There's still a decent cost barrier there to get that kind of hardware, right?
I mean, we're talking $600 to $900 at minimum. So if you want to do this thing the right way, you got to have a PC that can run games, and that could be $600 to $900 on its own, plus the VR setup, plus the 2 controllers. And I'm sure that there's a lowest common denominator way to get this out the door, and maybe you can get it down to $800. But I've actually been looking into that because, well, this isn't the time to be trying to spend, $2,000 on a VR setup, but it's something where I do care about games enough, and I do like Half-Life enough that I want to find a way to play this game. And it might even be going to a gaming cafe and, doing 4 hours one night, 4 hours another, because when Psychonauts Rhombus of Ruin came out, I borrowed a friend's PSVR because I had to play that because Psychonauts is one of my favorite games of all time. So I played Rhombus of Ruin, but it is difficult to play VR for more than 2 to 3 hours. I was feeling sick and I was wearing my contacts, and that it's just something, I don't know if my eyes are really made for VR, or maybe I should have tried with my glasses, but it was never comfortable, like playing the game. And that was a part of my experience that I couldn't enjoy what I wanted to enjoy as much. So this is a positive sign, I think, for the future of Half-Life, and I'm excited to play it at some point. Or do you think you'll play it, or do you plan to do VR?
I have a friend who constantly is bugging me to buy some sort of VR equipment. He's all in. He wants to do like VR, AR development, and is like teaching himself, and it's amazing. Like, kudos to him. And I definitely want to the point of money. Like, I don't know if I would use it enough where right now I could justify putting the money down. Half-Life, yes, like it's an exciting franchise. This game looks amazing. And I've seen so many incredible GIFs of people doing stuff in game, and I'm just like, that looks like a blast. But then I think, like, what other VR stuff would I realistically play and want this hardware for? And it's like, I don't know if I can tie up that much money right now in not only equipment for my computer, making sure that it's good to go, but then the actual VR stuff itself. So I don't know. I don't know if it'll be something I play soon. Maybe later on down the line when some of this hardware is a little bit cheaper, I could definitely see myself picking it up, but not right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe 2 years down the road. In 2 years' time, I will reassess my VR needs. But right now, I think I'm going to try and play this game at some like gaming cafe if they have.
I think that's a great idea.
So the next story on our scouting report today is about video game Mount Rushmores. Now, this is all sparked by Xbox tweeting out, who's on your video game Mount Rushmore? And then IGN threw up polls, and I actually have some pictures of the polls, and I can give you the data on that. But do you want to tell me who you think should be, or who's on your personal video game Mount Rushmore?
Okay, so personal, oh man, I mean, this is hard. I was trying to think of, if you had to narrow down some super influential characters, right? That's kind of what you'd put it. Or do you put things that are most personal to you? Like it's hard to narrow it down.
So then let's approach this problem in two ways. Let's do
Okay.
a personal, like our true feelings of ourself, and then let's do one that like who should objectively be there. And I think what I tried to do initially was have a representative for every console, but I just want to read you real quick what IGN posted for their poll, because they were trying to get down to 4. So their poll they originally tweeted out had Link, Master Chief, Crash, and Sonic as the first bracket.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
yeah, this bracket had 120,000 votes. Master Chief won, beating out Link, Crash, and Sonic with 44% of the vote. Link behind with 33%. Everyone else near 10%. The second choice they put up was Kratos, Dragonborn, Luigi, and Ezio Auditore, with Kratos coming out with 41% of the vote.
Makes sense.
Next closest was Luigi with 30, which was pretty surprising to me. After that, we have Mario, Scorpion, Doomguy, and Geralt of Rivia. I don't think Geralt should be there because The Witcher has 3 games, but hey, ride that Netflix hype. And then Mario, of course, won with 50% of the vote.
Not shocking.
Then Solid Snake, Kirby, Nathan Drake, and Pikachu, with Pikachu winning with 38% of the vote.
That makes
so
sense.
Their Mount Rushmore would have been Master Chief, Kratos, Mario, and Pikachu. I think that's pretty close, but I don't think that it fully gets the picture of gaming. Even if you were looking at maybe nominating one face per genre, if you were to say, FPS, who is it? RPG, who is it? Platformer, who is it? So if we were to go by those rules, I would say FPS would be Master Chief, platformer would be Mario, RPG would be Cloud, and then the other category, which would be everything else, I would say is The Sims. I would put just The Sims Diamond on the Mount Rushmore. That's what I would.
So that's your personal one then, or you're saying that's what you would say is your influential one?
I guess if we just had to do one based, see, that's why this is so hard, because what is the context? If we had to do it just based off of one representative per genre or what should be there, I think that's what I would put, because I'd feel really bad not putting something for PC there.
See, and I don't look at it where you have to have a representative by platform or you have to have a representative by or by genre. Yeah, right. I think to some degree, like the idea behind it is if it's iconic, right? This is supposed to be icons, then a lot of people will not know what that Sims Diamond is, right?
Yeah, okay, I feel you. Okay.
And so then I think, like, if I'm looking at it from the lens of just like video game characters that transcend, then I definitely say Mario. I definitely say Pikachu.
Okay.
I definitely say Master Chief. And then where I struggle is that fourth one.
It feels dirty to not have something from Sony, right?
It absolutely does. But then I'm like what is it? It's God of War is probably like the iconic series if I had to distill it to one. But
that's the thing I was thinking, because like it's either like, Kratos or Nathan Drake, right? Like,
does it have to be like, what about like Jack and Daxter, right? Or like, what about Crash Bandicoot? Yeah, exactly. Like, and so then I go back to who's influential. Like Kratos, like probably a lot of people wouldn't, not saying like gamers obviously, but like if we're making this Mount Rushmore, it's an icon for everyone. Would people know Kratos? I don't know. Right?
I don't know. Yeah.
Would they know Crash? I don't know. Like, it's hard.
Is it fair to do like Spider-Man? Is it just Spider-Man? Because everyone played Spider-Man 2.
That seems like such a cop-out, because then it's like, is it video game anymore? Because that's more adaptation, right? Like, I don't know. Like,
so that's why I go back to Cloud. I think it is Cloud.
Cloud's a good one.
I think Cloud sold more PlayStations than anyone, and I think everyone knows
the hair, the sword, it's all very...
You see him, and people will at least know, oh, that's video games, that's the Final Fantasy guy. Like that,
maybe,
at bare minimum. I think even my mom, if she saw it, she'd be like, oh, that's that RPG, or the video game kid. Like, they might think it's Sora, but like that style like has a place, and I think people recognize it. But you're right, like that third spot's iffy, because it could be Sonic. It could easily be Sonic.
See, and that's where my head went, was like, Sonic, I feel like, is the perfect fourth. This is hard. I don't know. Okay, so like that's influential, right? And then I think personal, like I have to put Pikachu, because I literally grew up in Pokemon. Like it is, gaming to me all through my life. I have to put Master Chief personal, because I have so many fond memories of Halo playing, with friends and family growing up.
Oh yeah.
Multiple generations of console, and there's not a shooter I think that's better personally. So I have to put Pikachu, I have to put Chief. I had not thought of The Sims, to be honest with you. And then you said that, and now I have questioned one of my slots because I absolutely grew up playing a ton of Sims. Like,
Yeah, man.
we had our one computer that me and my brother would take turns on, right? Like, I'd play Sims for an hour and a half. I'd save my town. He'd jump on and play for an hour and a half. Like, we would do that in the summers or like after school or whatever, right? Like, we had the one computer we'd share. And I poured time and then like money, like allowance money. I'd go buy the DLCs, right? Like, or the expansion passes. You've made me severely question my my choices, and The Sims seems like a really good one.
For me, I'll just throw mine out real quick.
Yeah,
I also, you actually, when you talked about PC like that, you made me think StarCraft should be on mine in some way, shape, or form because of how
interesting.
much I love the Protoss and all
Yeah.
that just in general. But I'm gonna go Banjo. I'm gonna go
Oh.
Gino from Super Mario RPG. I will definitely put Raz from Psychonauts on there, and then Master Chief. He just has to be there. He just does.
Yeah, I can't imagine a Mount Rushmore without Chief. No Pokemon then.
No Pokemon. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I see, and that's the crazy part about the personal ones is like, Psychonauts is an amazing game, but I absolutely wouldn't have had anyone from Psychonauts on my personal Mount
Hmm.
Rushmore. And so then this kind of back and forth between your personal versus my personal makes me think like maybe thinking influentially is the best way to approach it, because if we're
Hmm.
making a monument to gaming, it needs to be as accessible as I think it can be. And
Yep.
so Mario, Pikachu, Master Chief, Cloud does seem like a pretty well-rounded representation. Double Nintendo, which probably is also fair, right?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing I was actually going to say is that in the IGN polls, they had by far the most representatives.
Yeah.
Sony was next, but I mean, even like Luigi getting on there was baffling to me. I was like, dang, how's Luigi going to get a rep? Like, that's crazy. And there's no, well, here's the thing IGN messed up because what they should have done is just like put like 3 real contenders and then just filled the rest of the thing up with Fire Emblem people, just like Smash Bros. Shirts. God, I actually like Fire Emblem, but because of the reps, how many rep slots they have in Smash Bros, it makes me hate Fire Emblem.
That's pretty good. That's excellent.
How dare we not have any Fire Emblem reps on our freaking Mount Rushmore? We're
Oh,
trash.
no, let's no, none of that, please. I like ours. I like what we've landed on. Anyone that's listening, we'd love to know kind of what your Mount Rushmore would be.
Yeah.
Tweet at us or email us. We can talk about it next week on the show if we get any in. But yeah, super, super interesting. All right. So moving on, we got to talk a little bit about Animal Crossing.
Yeah, Nintendo, they dominated the slots in the polls by having the most nominated characters, and they also dominated the sales charts. So Animal Crossing in Japan, it's the fastest selling Switch game now with 1.8 million copies in that, first little stretch there.
Yeah, so 1.88 million to Pokemon Sword and Shield's 1.36 and beating Smash Bros 1.24. Yeah, I mean, it sold a ton, right? And I think that's just the physical copies. I think I saw somewhere that the digital copies push it to like 2.5 million over the weekend in
It's
Japan.
crazy. Well, and you have to also think it didn't have the benefit of having a sword and shield version. Like there's
Exactly.
no like that's the thing that's like blowing my mind that man, Animal Crossing has way more power than I thought it did. And because I've always loved it. And
Right.
when I brought up last week how it's crazy that it has more social media like I'd say influence or equity than Final Fantasy does, but man, like that's a lot of copies to sell in a weekend.
It's a lot of copies. And not only that, but total, right? So Pokemon Sword and Shield, I think, has a total. Well, of course, it's been out longer, so it has a higher sell through, but people are kind of analyzing what the sell through rates look like and predict that Sword and Shield will probably still hold the mantle for best selling Switch game.
Mm.
I don't know. I think Animal Crossing can definitely contend it. But what they are noticing is that in this early launch window is that Animal Crossing is helping Nintendo sell way more Switches. And that's in a time frame right now where I think Switch availability is hard to come by in a lot of different countries. And so that's wildly impressive. And I think to Nintendo, that probably matters quite a bit more than just selling through copies of the game, because Sword and Shield, obviously it's Pokemon, it's massive, but you figure that revenue is split with the Pokemon Company, it's split with Game Freak. Animal Crossing is Nintendo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is Nintendo selling their game 100% on their 100% hardware. And I mean, like, that's gotta be massive right now for them.
They always have this like massive war chest. It's just crazy that they just keep winning. They just keep getting more and more W's.
But I mean, the beautiful thing is like they don't break the formula, right? Like they know how to iterate, I think, on things that people really, really like. And I think this newest Animal Crossing is a really good example of that, right? There's no need to completely redo the formula for it. They've made some quality of life tweaks. They've added some items. They've made the game is beautiful, right? And I think they knew like this is going to do it. Like this will make us win. And certainly it is. So
it's crazy. It's such a simple game can. I mean, I guess that's part of its, brilliance is that it is so simple. It's just enjoyable. So yeah, hats off to them for making something just enjoyable, man.
that we love, that we absolutely love.
It's very true.
And speaking of things that we love, a little more Nintendo love for everyone. So they dropped a mini direct this week, which was, a little under half hour, and they had a lot to talk about. They crammed quite a bit in that half hour. So I guess I'll high level some of this stuff, and then we can go back and we can kind of dive into whatever specific things you want to talk about, right? So
okay.
First things first, on Animal Crossing still, we're going to have a little Easter event that runs from April 1st to April 12th, where Zipper, the Easter bunny, is going to be visiting us and hiding eggs. And there's going to be that 12-day window where there's exclusive stuff you'll be able to craft in that window, which sounds amazing. I love it. Super Smash Bros. Next DLC fighter, they're adding in a character from ARMS. So that's what news for Super Smash Bros. Kind of all we got there. On May 29th, we're going to get a huge content drop for Switch. So Xenoblade, BioShock the Collection, Borderlands Legendary Collection, and XCOM 2 Collection are all dropping on the 29th of May. So that's a huge day. We got some details for Pokemon Sword and Shield, more little tidbits on the expansion pass, kind of some previews for what we can expect in some of the towers, some previews for what we can expect for some Gigantamax forms for some of the starters. They're adding in new outfits and league cards and customization options. And so we'll get one expansion in June and then one in later in the fall. Panzer Dragoon is getting a remake, and it's going to be a timed exclusive for the Switch. Jedi Knight Academy is going to be coming to the Switch later this year. We don't have a date for that quite yet. And then they also talked a little bit about Star Wars Episode 1 Racer Speeding, which is it's a pod racing game, right? Like this is pod racing. And then I think there's just a ton to talk about. What do you want to talk about first?
I think it's ARMS. I mean, it's ARMS and Smash now. Did you play ARMS?
Yeah. I didn't. No.
I really like ARMS. I think it's way underrated. Its multiplayer system was just incredible, and it was tons of fun. In true Nintendo fashion, they make a thing, and it turns out it's awesome. It's fun to play. I'm hyped for ARMS. They threw up an image that had the character select screen, so it just said someone from ARMS. I think it'd be really cool if it was a single moveset, because one of the cool things in ARMS is that players can have just different arms that you can unlock. So technically, you could just do just in the way they do with Baby Bowser, that he could have just different costumes that are the Koopa Kids. You could have one ARMS person, and they could do different costumes that are the different characters in the game. And then the B moves and all the attacks could just be the different arms that are in the game.
Sure.
That would be cool. But if I had to pick one person, I'd pick Helix, because Helix is the best. He's like a DNA strand, like Bloblor. But do you remember Flubber? It's like if Flubber grew up and then was like an awkward teen trying to get a date.
Nice.
And put on lipstick. That's Helix. He's great. He's just he's great.
That does sound like a character I would enjoy. Let's see. I'm excited for obviously the Animal Crossing event in a couple days. That's going to be fun. I mean, how can I not be, right? I'm excited for the Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion. Obviously, that wasn't a new announcement. I'm excited to see some of the stuff they talked about for it with the challenge towers that are going to be in there. And just they're adding in more Pokemon. They're adding in more stuff to do in the game. And I mean, like we just talked about in our Mount Rushmore piece, I grew up on Pokemon. So anything Pokemon, I'm into it. So I think I'm excited for Animal Crossing and Pokemon. And then probably the last little bit that sounds really awesome is to have BioShock Collection on the Switch. That's nuts. That is so rad.
Well, this is that date that we talked about before. Xenoblade was rumored to be coming out on May 29th, which is the Last of Us 2 date. And
right.
I like how 2K is just we're just going to throw everything out. Here's BioShock Collection. Here's Borderlands. Here's XCOM. Just have it. And it's funny that they're not even cannibalizing their own games, I guess. They're just the people who want it are going to buy it regardless. Yep. We don't care. Just put out the content.
That's 100% it, right? And there are absolutely people that have held out probably, or like even if they haven't held out and they own this somewhere else, like they are going to buy it again on Switch because there's people who are such big fans of these titles that will want to be able to take them with them. And they haven't really been able to do that yet. So they're going to sell. And yeah, 2K doesn't care. They're so uninterested in whatever time conflict there is with any of these other games. They're just like, meh. Like we've already made them all. Like we're just going to put them out. Like the stakes are low. We can only win.
I'm with you on the BioShock thing. That I'm excited that I could play BioShock on my Switch on the go.
Yep.
That and even whatever the cost is, I'd pay that for just Infinite and 1, and 2's just a bonus. It's just on there. Will I play it? Probably never, but who cares?
Yeah, but you'll own it, and the option to do so is there, and that's what matters. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so we got our last piece on the scattering report today, and it is about Epic Games. This is actually, we saved the best for last, I think. This is kind of the coolest thing that happened this week in gaming to me.
This is huge. So do you want to dive into it a bit, or do you want me to kind of break it down?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say that Epic Games, they essentially announced publishing partnerships with some of the biggest, I would say biggest game companies, at least that are in my interest area. Gen Design, they made Last Guardian. Playdead is a studio I'm very passionate about. Inside's phenomenal. Amazing. Limbo's great. I actually have a Kingdom Hearts shirt that's in the Limbo style.
Oh,
it's
cool.
I just love it. It makes me very happy. And then Remedy, you've heard me talk about my love of Control. I think Quantum Break's a solid game. Alan Wake's cool. So this is really interesting that, because I thought Remedy was going to get gobbled up by either Sony or Microsoft, but this is actually kind of the opposite of that. It's showing that they're going to remain independent. Now, the coolest, I'll just kind of go through the overhead things real fast on the three key things that are happening with this deal. But essentially, the studios are going to retain full creative freedom and ownership. They're getting their projects fully funded, and there will be at minimum a 50-50 profit share.
Yeah, so let's really just talk about that real quick, right? So Epic is saying, hi, game developer, this game is cool. You should make this game. We are going to let you retain the ownership. We don't want to own any part of this. It's your game. We are going to pay you to make this. So here's all of your dev costs, your salaries, the QA, localization. We're going to market it for you. We're going to pay all of that. And then after your game launches and it repays back that bit, we're going to keep paying you 50-50, not 70-30 or like any of these. It's 50-50 profit sharing, right? So they're going to keep making money off that they had to put no money into upfront out of their own pockets. That is unheard of. That is ridiculous. It's so unheard of, and it's such a good deal that they were confident enough to publish these guidelines and what this is just out in the open, right? So like any other partnership agreements typically are probably going to be under an NDA, and they're going to be like very hush hush and between whoever is doing the funding and the developer. And Epic is like, we know no one can beat this, so we're just gonna put it on our website. We're gonna tweet this out. It's like
they dropped their nuts on the table, and because if you're Insomniac, aren't you kicking yourself?
Yes. Oh my god. If you're anyone that wanted to be independent but isn't anymore, yeah, you're absolutely probably devastated by news like this. And maybe, let's say Insomniac, maybe not, because like now Sony is pumping money into them. Maybe, and to be honest, besides Sunset Overdrive, what else have they made that wasn't on a Sony console?
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna say. Sony owns all their stuff anyway, so why not just go to the place that owns all your stuff?
Yeah, but like any independent, like who maybe thought that they needed to do that to go under a first party umbrella of a big company now, is probably like huge sigh of relief to say like, cool, we can keep our doors open. And what a time for this to come too, right? With all the craziness going on in the world, this is such a impressive piece of business for Epic, and I'm floored. I am amazed by this.
It's the coolest thing that's happened. I'm glad we saved it for last, because even looking at the developers they announced, Playdead, I'd say is a single A developer, and I'd say Gen
Yeah.
Design is a double A developer, and then Remedy's a triple A. And it's
Yep.
really cool to see that like that they showed the level of scale. Like they're just like,
Yeah.
hey, and of course these companies have a lot of success behind them already because Playdead's a safe bet because Limbo and Inside, they're two games that are out, have they're critically acclaimed.
Yeah.
They've sold
They
tons of
sold
copies.
well. Yep.
Yeah, and even though Last Guardian had a lot of trepidation getting to be released, once it was out, people really enjoyed the game. So
Right.
that's maybe it's not the safest bet for Gen Design. That's like maybe the most I don't know, risky part of this deal, but Remedy,
Sure.
it's just a lock. They're so good. I love them.
I know you do. I'm extremely excited to see what additional partners come, right? I know we're barely at the tip of the iceberg right now, right? There's going to be so many other developers that want to get on board with this. There's going to be so many games, I think, that come from this that may have never been born because the resources weren't there. And I know I've said it before, like people like to hate on Epic, and I think it's completely unwarranted. And I think it's super cool to see that they're taking all this Fortnite money that they've made, and it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And they're flipping it into something now where they're absolutely going to be able to build out their store in a huge way. Like this is going to change the industry, I think, in a fundamental way.
Oh no, it definitely has to. In Remedy, they actually the lead of Remedy, he basically
Yeah.
came out on Twitter and he said that they're already developing games under this label, and there's one that's a AAA size game. It's their most ambitious game ever, and then there's
Awesome.
also another game they're developing that's smaller within an already established canon or world that we know. So that's probably
That's awesome.
Alan Quantum or Control in some way, shape, or form, and it's something smaller. But it's
Ooh.
really cool. It's exciting.
I'm super stoked by it. If I wasn't already kind of excited with Epic shaking up the industry in general, like now, like there's nothing else I think that they could do that would really blow my socks off the same way. So
I'm just sad this wasn't sooner because like maybe places like Campo Santo don't get like gobbled up by Valve, or I don't know. I just think about the small developers that I'm just like, oh man, I love Supergiant, I love this, I love that, I love these different small studios, and like maybe this helps Yacht Club Games make like 10 more Shovel Knights or Super Shovel Knight. Let's go, let's get it.
Yeah, come on, let's go, boys. So I think that wraps up our scouting report. Great way to end it. And speaking of, getting these games launched and off the ground, I think that leads us right into our game pitch. Now you're going to pitch us a game, right?
Yeah, I've got a quick one for you today.
Okay.
Basically, in the isolation, being home, I've been thinking a lot about just like taking ventures outside. What are the proper attire? Like zombie apocalypses, things like that. So the one thing I've been thinking about is the noble forest squirrel. I've been looking out my window, seeing the squirrels at play, and I think to myself, man, the trees that they live in, those must be just like the room that I am stuck in right now. So I think to myself, the squirrel, he's in the tree. He has to pick a destination. Like he's looking out of his tree and he picks a direction to go in. And the squirrel ventures out in that direction, hoping to find nuts, perhaps berries, fruits of various kinds to bring home to his squirrel family inside this tree that he lives in. So basically, I'm pitching you a very simple platformer where you play as a squirrel and you basically kind of in a Mega Man style, you're looking at the tree from above and there's, 8 directions you can go in. And as the squirrel, you pick a direction, you go in that direction and you see if you can bring stuff back kind of in a, what's the Oregon Trail style. Picking the right path to be able to survive is very important because your squirrel wife and squirrel children can die of dysentery or malnourishment. And the reason that the squirrel is collecting all these nuts is, of course, because the calendar is changing, the seasons are changing, and you've got to store up enough fat and got to get big and burly for the colder months. So this game, JD, is called Winter is Coming. You play as a squirrel and you venture forth to grab the nuts.
I love it. I think that's terrific. Winter is coming. I am a big fan. Obviously, I'm into it.
Jade, Shannon.
We know you listen. We say it every week. We know you're listening to this pod.
There's not enough squirrel-based platformers out there, is what I found.
There's really not.
Googling.
There's really not.
Look, this is the untapped market.
And look, we obviously want to take this to Stadia, but obviously Epic Games is courting us as well. We're very in demand right now. And so please, guys, reach out, tweet us, email us. We're ready to make a deal. We really are. We'll launch whatever game you want.
It's going to come down to whichever company has the better tail physics. Like, I really need a bushy, tail flopping about like a Burt Reynolds or Dr. Disrespect mustache. I need that thickness.
One quick question in terms of gathering all the food and stuff, as you progress and get closer to quote unquote the end of the game, does the character model of the squirrel get fatter?
You bet your sweet ass it does.
I love it.
And actually, it gets harder to platform.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Your jump isn't as high. You can't make certain gaps anymore because you've put on the pounds.
That's good for replayability, right? Because then it makes you think, if I'm playing through the first 10 levels, I kind of want to, well, I'm a lean squirrel, go for like the really hard to reach ones. And then when I replay that level later, I can just pick all the easy ones that are right in front of me as my dude like takes a break halfway through the level, like has to catch his breath.
Well, you get like a shockwave attack, when you're super fat, you get like a little bit of an AoE thing to like push enemies back because you're so chonky and thick.
That's good. And you like can push them straight out of the tree. But if you do it too many times, the branch breaks and then you like lose that level and have to restart.
Yeah, definitely. You could there's a lot of potential here with this squirrel getting fatter over game. See, man, this is, yes.
I love it. All right. That is a great pitch. Thank you. Winter is coming. You can look forward to that on either Stadia or Epic Game Store soon.
It'll probably be out as soon as the next Game of Thrones book is out.
Absolutely. So we'll see you guys in 10 years. Moving on. We do have a red card to give out this week, right?
Yes, we do. I just wanted to just give a shout out to my roommate because he's been playing through Halo, and like I said, we've kind of been replaying. I've been playing them all on co-op, and he's like getting all the achievements. So like I feel like my childhood is good because I know where all the skulls are and stuff like that. So I'm able to like do something. Nice. He's like, I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure it's over here, and I'm not looking it up or Googling it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's here, and then like I like fiddle around for a bit, and then I'm like, haha, success, get that, and I'm like super hype, and then I pick up the skull, he gets an achievement, and like it makes me feel worthy. Like I wish I could pay him for rent in achievements, but I can't.
If only it worked that way.
But one of the things that I remembered is that there's so many multiplayer achievements in Halo, and just in general, I want to give a red card to multiplayer achievements across the board because they on the whole suck. They're just kind of terrible because certain games you can never get them on now because either the servers are no longer populated or
no one's playing.
No one's playing, or they're actually shut down, and you're forever going to have that percentage missing from your 1,000 gamer score or whatever it is, plus the updates. And then even a lot of the multiplayer achievements for new map packs and things like that have adjusted the total gamer score, and I don't like the imperfect numbers. There's just a lot around multiplayer achievements that I am out on. So
that's a good red card. Red card to multiplayer achievements. Get them out of here. We don't want them. I don't think anyone does.
They smell like butts.
They smell like butts. And then lastly, we have a couple penalties to give ourselves here. So
first one's me.
First one's you.
Up. So I didn't tell you that I was playing Halo before last week, but I was, and I am, and I tried to make a Bowser noise when I was speaking as Doug Bowser. So I tried to make.
I remember.
Yeah, I tried to do that, but for whatever reason, my brain did wort wort wort, which is what the elites make. So I made the wort 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 sound, tried to be Bowser from Super Mario Brothers. But my brain decided to make me an elite from Halo. So
I remember that last week, and I didn't say anything because I wasn't confident in my own ability to identify the sound appropriately. So I was like, all right, I better let this one slide just in case. But I was thinking about it, and then when I saw you put this in, I was like, okay, good.
Yeah, I suck. I have to kick myself. That's a penalty for me. I have a penalty.
And I have two. So last week, or was it the week before? I can't quite recall. We talked about a story about GameStop getting their business license pulled, and that turned out to be a fake news story that someone had spread. Didn't actually happen. We have come to find out, so we apologize for talking about that on the pod. And
we both got the internet got
we got we all
everyone
did.
Everyone got bamboozled. Hoodwinked.
Still we
run afoul. We have to correct.
Still, we try to do our due diligence when we share stuff on here, so we apologize for that. So that was our second penalty, and then third is for me, right? You have a penalty that you want to give to me.
Yeah, it's a penalty. So
penalty.
Last week you forgot that we had done a penalty before, so you essentially said, "Hey, this is the first time we've done this," and I was like, We've done it before. There was the time that I messed up about Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
I had forgotten all about that. And then I remember, so I was texting you about this to figure out what it was. And then you repeatedly asked me, do I even listen to this podcast? And I do. I just completely blanked it last week. So apologies. And trust me, now I will never, ever forget that we've done a penalty before.
Perfect. That
wraps it up. Yep, yeah. That's that. So thanks everyone for listening to another episode of GamePitch Podcast. There's a ton of ways you can get in touch with us. We're on Twitter at GamePitchPod. I'm at J to the D, and Eli is at Mario RPGino. We're both on Instagram at J to the D at @thatguy_Eli. If you have anything you want to email us about, we're at gamepitchpodcast@gmail.com. Send us your Mount Rushmores, what you'd put on there. And then, as you heard at the top of the show, we're still playing catch up. So we're still doing 2 episodes a week, and we're going to do that till about mid-April. And then once we catch up, we'll have episodes that will air the day right after we record them. So you'll be getting some hot, fresh news. Did I miss anything, Eli?
No, I mean, you made me hungry by saying hot, fresh news. So I think I'm going to maybe order a pizza or cook some spaghetti. Like, just got to eat. It's Sunday. Got to carb up.
You got to carb up for the week ahead.
Yeah. I mean, do I? This is like, I'm going to become Winter is Coming squirrel and just
say, you're quarantined, so I guess you don't need to carb up. Maybe I should go carb up for my week ahead. But you can role play as the squirrel from our upcoming game, Winter is Coming.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks again for listening, everyone. Warp, warp, warp.